Hey YouTube world, harvest is plenty. I hope all is well. Thanks for stopping by. Check out the video. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed as of yet. So I'm not sure if you guys have heard, but nations and countries are mobilizing for World War III. A NATO admiral, he came out and he urged civilians in the West to prepare for war. Now, he says it's war with Russia, but take Russia out. Insert Iran, insert China, insert North Korea, insert whoever. But the brunt of his message is that civilians need to get prepared because something is coming. Let's take a listen to what he has to say. Also, read his body language as he says these things. Look at the shift in his eyes to the left.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, the Military Committee Chiefs of Defense session has just drawn to a close. We will start off this press conference with an opening.
The big difference with a year ago, I would say, Terry, is that there's a lot of things that have happened in the armed forces and in the defense organizations. What hasn't happened is in our societies the understanding that it is more than the military that has to be able to operate in a conflict or in a war. It is the whole of society that will get involved, whether we like it or not. That realization, we didn't talk about that much a year ago.
One of the fallacies that a lot of people have is that war only affects soldiers and troops, but war also affects the civilian population as well. With the advent of new technology, a lot of the future wars will be cyber. That means a lot of things will get hit and a lot of things will get shut down.
People find it a surprise and as a result buy a radio on batteries. That is great. It is part of the package that the Swedish government is talking about. You need to have water, you need to have a radio on batteries, and you need to have a flashlight on batteries to make sure that you can survive the first 36 hours. Things like that. That's simple things. But it starts there. The realization that not everything is plannable, not everything is going to be honky-dory in the next 20 years. I'm not saying it is going wrong tomorrow, but we have to realize it's not a given that we are in peace. And that's why we have the plans.
Wow. So there you have it, straight from the horse's mouth, from a NATO admiral. He's telling people to get ready. I think that he was very diplomatic in what he said and the way he said it without revealing too much. I watched his eyes shift when he said 20 years. That tells me that we have less time than that. You know, I don't have a crystal ball and I'm not God, so I can't tell you that it's going to happen on such and such a date, but I know something is coming. I've had dreams about some things that I will share with you guys in some upcoming videos. But if you look at the movie Leave the World Behind, I think President Obama and his wife, Michelle, that they were diplomatically doing the same thing, trying to warn people that something is coming without spilling classified information. It's not about politics at the point when the lights go out. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican. The only thing that's going to matter is, do you have food, water, and supplies? Do you have medicine? Can you feed yours? Can you defend what you have if a horde of, cartel members, gang members, looters show up in your neighborhood and want to rape, rob, and pillage, your things and your family and the people that you love and care about? I think a lot of people don't think it's going to get bad. A lot of people also, think this stuff is conspiracy theory. All I know is I would rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So just giving you guys a warning. Sharing this warning from the NATO Admiral. I hope you guys take heed, and start getting some things together. I love you guys. Remember to pray. Put God first. He's your ultimate prep. And take care of yourself. Stay alert. God bless to you and your family.
So worst case scenarios. I feel like this question is like what you daydream about all day long. So there's a new Netflix movie. It's called Leave the World Behind. Have you seen it?
I have, yes. It's great.
Okay, so perfect. Exactly. I knew that you were like, yes, I'd have my morning coffee and think about this. So for those who haven't seen it, which includes myself, but that'll change rapidly, it depicts a scenario where a massive cyber attack knocks out power and telecommunications, sparking widespread civil unrest. Looking at that through the lens of somebody who lives in the U.S., how vulnerable do you think that we are in the U.S. to this type of attack? And then added to that, what do you think people should do in a situation where comms and electricity are taken offline?
Yeah, this is my favorite question by far. So yeah, Leave the World Behind is a great depiction of the potential. And I think we're closer to that than we've ever been in history because of the advancement of technology, to include AI, but power grids, the list goes on. A study was done on power grids in the United States. And this study proposed that the 4,000 plus power grid locations that primarily feed and network the country to electricity, there's about a dozen that, if hit, would shut down electricity for up to a year in the United States. This happens all over the country, and we see what happens in just a 24-hour period. When we lose power in Buffalo, New York, or New York City, or San Diego, California, just for a short period of time, all these characteristic things that take place are what we would see on a grand scale with more time that went by. We see exploitation of people. We see the abuse of powers. We see people pillaging and stealing and violently attacking. We see all the things that take place. Here's my concern. With technology, we've bought into the idea that it's bringing us more efficiency and further optimizing our life in the future. That is creating less dependency on our own self-reliance and more dependency on a government institution, a building, and a government protocol. When you hear politicians say we should adopt a power grid nationally that allows us to turn off the garage lights in your home to save power if you left your garage lights on, that's scary because we're creating more dependency on and more weakness that could be compromised and exploited. Like when this Chinese balloon came across the country, I wasn't thinking this is a spy balloon. I was thinking this is an ops test. This is certainly an operations test to evaluate the security protocols, because when we were testing in the 50s and 60s, nuclear explosive devices that were detonated in our atmosphere or upper atmosphere, we are testing electromagnetic pulse. And so that proved to be a very telling story of the potential threat that lied. That's why after that test, nothing was talked about in that field. It's like they literally just stopped all the testing. They were like, oh my God. And there's proof and evidence that this was so dramatic of a thing because everything was classified post that explosion. So I think we're in a situation now where we are tethered too much to technology. I mean, the hydroelectric dam that feeds electricity to my house right now, if that thing was compromised, it would shut down all the power and there would be no contingency in place. There's no other power grid to plug in. There's not solar panels tethered to the neighborhood that I'm living in. So what would I do? I mean, the food in my fridge would expire in a couple days. I would have no ability for running water. I would have no ability as a sewage system. I would have no ability outside of the gas that's in my vehicle to even fill up my tank at the local gas station because it's a power pump tethered to electricity. I think this is what the world sees. And when you look at a crisis and catastrophe on a grand scale, it's a couple foreign powers, maybe even just one, realizing, which they already realized, their foreign intelligence services already realized this a long time ago, that the way that they take down America is by further making our systems dependent on the system, taking away self-reliance, and then shutting it down, nearly just flipping the lights off. And what will happen when you turn off the lights? All the cockroaches will come out and it will be complete, utter chaos. We see it in civil unrest. We see it in 24-hour cycle power outages. I can't imagine if the grid was shut down for an indefinite period of time.
Yeah, that trying to think the quote. If something like we're 9 meals away from anarchy at any given time, something like that. If something truly catastrophic happened, 9 meals, obviously 3 meals a day, depending on who you are. Sometimes I eat 9 in a day, so maybe that's 1 day for me, 3 days for others. But that's how far away we are from just basically true anarchy, that's a rough one.